So in this video, I'm going to go over the review for quiz 1. So the first question says to create an equation of a line that is parallel to the given equation 8x minus 6y equals 15. So our key word here is parallel, okay? So we're going to take this equation over here, 8x minus 6y equals 15, and we're going to put it in y equals mx plus b format. Remember that m is our slope and b is our y-intercept, okay? So I'm going to write it here, 8x minus 6y equals 15. So I'm going to subtract the 8x from both sides. So that's going to get rid of it from there, and I got negative 6y equals negative 8x plus 15. Then I'm going to divide by negative 6, because remember, again, I'm trying to get y by itself. So now we do have y by itself, right? Now notice this negative over negative, that means it's going to be positive, right? So we got y is equal to, and what can we divide into both 8 and 6? 2, right? So how many times does 2 go into 8? 4 times. How many times does 2 go into 6? 3 times. And then we've got this. We're going to reduce this as well. And remember, if we divide a positive by a negative, we're going to get a negative. So we're going to reduce it. 3 goes into both of those. So 3 goes into 15 5 times. And it goes into 6 2 times, right? Okay, so it says we've got to create a line that is parallel to this line. So we're looking at this slope right here, okay? So the equation is going to be y is equal to 4/3 x. And honestly, you can put any number you want next, okay? So I'm going to say plus or minus any number. And I mean any number, y'all. It could be negative 10,000. Or it could be positive 1,000,000, okay? So any of those numbers would work, okay? So on this next one, it says, given the following equation in standard form, classify as parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So here again, I'm going to take each of these equations and I'm going to set them into the y is equal to mx format. So I'm going to take this one first. So I got 6x minus 4y equals 5. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. Okay, so that's going to give me negative 4y equals, that's now gone, negative 6x plus 5. Then we're going to divide everything by negative 4. Dividing it all, okay? So that's going to give me here, this is now gone, so I have y is equal to, again, we got a negative divided by a negative, and both of those are divisible by 2, so this is going to be 3/2 x minus 5 over 4, okay? Now we're going to do our other equation, this one, do same thing. 2y minus 3x equals 9. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. So that's going to give us 2y equals negative, again, this is gone from here, 3x plus 9, right? No, positive, sorry. We got to add it. I don't know why I put that negative there, y'all. Equals 3x. It was 3x positive. See that right there? Then we're going to divide everything by 2. So now we have y equals 3/2 x plus 9 over 2. Again, we're only interested in the slope. So we're looking at this and this because that's our m, right? So what do we see? They're the same, right? So because our m's are the same, we can say that these two lines are parallel. All right, let's look at the next one. So that was A up there, y'all. This next one's going to be B, okay? So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to take this equation, 4x plus 3y equals 1. We're going to subtract the 4x from both sides. So now that's gone, and we got our 3y equals negative 4x plus 1. We're going to divide everything by 3. So this equation that's gone now. Y equals negative 4/3 x plus 1/3. I'm going to do our other equation again. So we've got y equals negative 2x, y minus 2x equals 3. So we're going to add 2x to both sides again. Remember, you can only combine like terms here, guys, okay? So this is going to be y is equal to 2x plus 3. So here again, we're looking at our slopes, negative 4/3 and 2, and those have no relationship, so this is going to be neither, or neither, however you want to pronounce that word. Okay, our last one. this one right here. So we're going to go x plus 7y equals 12. We're going to subtract x from both sides, okay? So we get 7y equals negative x plus 12. And then once again, we're going to divide everything by 7. So this is y is equal to, because that goes away, negative 1/7. Remember, there's a 1 in front of that x, okay? X plus our 12 over 7. And then we're going to look at our other one, this one right here. So this is going to be y minus 7x equals negative 44. So we're going to add 7x to both sides, right? So now that's gone. So y is equal to 7x minus 44. Again, we're going to compare our slopes. So this is negative 1/7, and that's 7. So one's positive, one's negative, and they are reciprocals of each other. So this is perpendicular. Okay, number 3 says several streets in downtown Atlanta are parallel. Key phrase right there, parallel, right? These include Auburn Avenue and Edgewood Avenue. The equation for Auburn Avenue is 3x minus 4y equals 12. If Edgewood Avenue goes through the point 83, what is the equation for Edgewood Avenue? So here again, we're going to take this equation and we're going to put it in y is equal to format. So it's negative 4y. It was 3x minus negative 4y equals 12. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So now it's gone from there. I got negative 4y equals negative 3x plus 12. I'm going to divide everything by negative 4. So when we do that, we get y is equal to, remember, if we divide a negative by a negative, we get a positive. Okay, so this is 3/4 x. And 12 divided by negative 4, if we divide a positive by a negative, we get a negative, is minus 3. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this point, x, y, and we're going to plug it into the equation y equals mx plus b with our slope. And there's our slope right there. Okay? So we're going to take our y right here, and there, put it right there, sub it in. Okay? Then we're going to take our m right there, 3/4, and then we're going to take our x right here and do 8 plus b. So if you do 3/4 of 8, you get 6. You can do this in the calculator, okay? So this is 6 plus b. Then we subtract 6 from both sides. So our b is equal to negative 3. So there's our b, and there's our m. So our equation is y equals 3/4 x minus 3. Well, what in the world? It's the same equation we already had. Why is that? The reason for that is because this point up here, 8,3, is on that line. That's the y, okay? Okay, the next one says which pair of points represents a line parallel to the line shown in the graph. So we have to find the slope of the line in the graph first. So remember that slope is equal to rise over run. So we're going to count that. So we're going to go from 2 points on the line. So we're going up 1, see it, and over 1, 2. So that's our rise over run. So our slope is 1/2. So what we want to do, because it says about find the pair of points that represents a line parallel, we want to find the slope of each of these lines. Now remember that the equation for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this formula is not on the formula sheet, so you need to commit it to memory, okay? So I'm going to label these x1, y1, x2, y2, and that means anything in that column is that letter, okay? So we're doing y2 right here, 9 minus y1 over x2, 3, minus x1, minus 7. So that means my slope here for line A is 9 minus 1, which is 8, over 3 minus 7, which is negative 4. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. So that's not equal to 1/2. So we know that one's not parallel. Just keep working. So now we're going to go 3 minus 7 over 9 minus 1. So that's going to be negative 4 over 8. That reduces to be negative 1/2. That is also not 1/2, okay? So now we're going to do our next one. So this was A, this is B. I'm going to do C next. So let me write C, and then we'll do it in green. So we got 12 minus 8 divided by 7 minus 5. Okay, so 12 minus 8 is 4. 7 minus 5 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is a positive 2. Okay, we got one more, our D. And I'm going to do that one in black. Okay, so D here again. 7 minus 5. 12 minus 8. Okay, so this one is 7 minus 5 is 2. 12 minus 8 is 4. So this is our 1/2 right there. So notice this was our slope of our line in the diagram, in the picture, and this is the slope of D. So that was our answer, D, right there. Okay, now it says once you've identified the points of the parallel line, write the slope-intercept form of the line. So what we want here is we're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b again. Now we're going to sub in y, m, and x. So this is going to be my x, and this is going to be my y, and you could use 12/7 as well. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to plug in the 5, and we're going to plug in our m, which is right here. Remember, this is our m, 1/2 over there. So 1/2, and then we're putting in our x, which is 8. What's half of 8, y'all? Yes, it's 4. Okay, so we're going to keep going with this. Let me extend the page down here a little. So 5 is equal to 4 plus b. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So b is equal to 1. Now we have to substitute back in our m up here and our b right there. Okay, that's what we're doing. Into the equation y equals mx plus b. So y is equal to 1/2 x plus 1. Remember, an equation of a line always has y and x in it unless it is a horizontal or vertical line. Okay, so what we're going to do down here is we're going to rewrite the slopes that we just had. So this was -2. This one was -1/2. This one was 2, and this one was 1/2. So this time it says perpendicular. Y'all see that word. So remember, perpendicular slopes. So our original slope was 1/2. So the perpendicular slope, we change the sign and we flip it. Okay, so this is going to be -2 because -2 is 2 over 1, right? So that's the one we're looking for. So that means we're looking for this one right here, right? Okay, so then it says once you've identified the points, and this should be the word perpendicular, y'all. So this should be perpendicular. Okay, once you find that, you're going to find the perpendicular line. Okay, so once again, we're going to label these points x and y, and we have our new m right here, right? So this is our 2, -2. So once again, we're using the equation y equals mx plus b. So what is our y up here? It's 1. What is our m? It's right here, right? This is our m, our new m, perpendicular m. And then we've got our x right here times 7 plus b, right? So we're going to solve for b, okay? So this would be -14 plus b is equal to 1. How do we get rid of a -14? We add 14 to both sides. So b is equal to 15. Now once again, we're going to substitute that b and our m up there, which was -2, into the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay, so our y is equal to just y, right? Because the equation is going to have y in it and it's going to have x in it. Our m is -2, right? And our b is 15. Okay, so that is the answer right there. All right, number 6 is messed up. The points don't form a parallelogram, and we didn't talk about anything else, so we're just not even going to talk about that one, okay? But we are going to do number 7. And you are going to have a coordinate plane on your quiz so that you can plot these points and use what I'm about to show you, okay? So I'm going to plot these 4 points, and then I'm going to show you what to do with them. Okay, so I plotted the points, and now I'm going to draw some lines between them. So I want you guys to make an observation. What do you think that shape is? A rectangle, right? Okay, but we have to prove that, okay? by talking about the properties of a rectangle. So one of the things we know about a rectangle, and you guys learned this when you were little, is that opposite sides are equal, right? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to find the length of EF and HG, okay? So to do that, I'm going to draw my right triangle. So I got one tall and two wide here, okay? So remember, we're going to use Pythagorean's theorem because we just drew a right triangle. So we're going to take the square root of 2 squared plus 1 squared. That is the square root of 4 plus 1, which is the square root of 5. Now, you don't need to go any further than this because all you want to do is compare it with HG. So here again, look at HG. I go 1 up, 2 over right there, 1 and 2. So those are the same numbers we just used for the other one. So I know that that's the square root of 5. So that means I can make a statement right now that EF is equal to HG, okay? Now we're going to talk about the other side. So we're going to talk about FG and HE. So FG, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 up and 2 over. Y'all see that? So 4 and 2. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. So with FG, we're going to take the square root of 4 squared plus 2 squared. So that's going to be 16 plus 4, which is the square root of 20. Now let's check the other side, HE. So I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, over 2 again, 4 and 2, okay? So HE, because they're the same numbers again, we know that this is a square root of 20. So we can say FG is equal to HE. Now, that's what you guys learned when you were little, but there's more to saying something is a rectangle. We have to also prove that it has right angles, okay? So the way we do that is we're going to look at the slopes, okay? So I want you guys, let me get a different color here so you guys can see it. So we're going to look at EF right here. So you guys see EF right here. So my first question is that line rising or falling from left to right? It's rising, okay? That means it's a positive slope, okay? So if EF is a positive slope, we're going to do what? Rise over run. Remember this? When we're trying to find M, y'all, we're going to do rise over run if we're looking at it in a drawing, okay? So how tall is it? How far did it go up? 1, right? And how far across? Okay, so it's rise over run, so 1/2, okay? Now up here again with HG, same thing, right? Do you notice here again? Look again, it's rising from left to right, so it also is 1/2, isn't it? All right, now we're going to look at FG. FG's here. So what's happening to that line? It's falling from left to right. Exactly. So we know the slope is negative. Y'all got me? Again, we're going rise. There's our rise right here. Rise over run. See it? So it's going to be 4 over 2. What's that reduced to be? -2. You got it. All right. And with HE, same thing. It's falling from left to right. What's our rise? It's also 4 over 2. So we know that this one's going to be -2 as well. Okay. So now what I want you guys to do is go around the shape and compare the sides, the slopes of the sides. Okay. So we're going to look here at EF. That slope is 1/2. So what about the side that's next to it? That's FG. Y'all see we did EF and FG, so because that's our next side, right? So what's the slope of FG? Look, we had 1/2 up here and -2 there. So that means these are perpendicular because they are not the same side and they're reciprocals of each other. So then we're going to say EF is perpendicular to FG. Then what can we say about FG? Look at FG and GH. Y'all see it right there? Or HG, it doesn't really matter. So it's GH, right? So that's also perpendicular. So we've seen that there's a right angle there and there's a right angle there. Because again, if we look at FG here and we look at GH or HG, same thing. What do you notice about these two slopes right here? Again, they're perpendicular. So we should be able to make 4 of these statements, right? So then we're going to talk about GH. And what's the next side? Right here, HE. Y'all see it? HE, those are perpendicular as well. So there's another right angle right there. And then we want to talk about HE is also perpendicular with what? EF. Okay, so we have proven that this has 4 right angles and the opposite sides are congruent, okay? And because of that, we can say this is a rectangle. Got it? Okay. So now, given the following points on the graph, so we're going to plot these, and then we're going to talk about how we find the fourth point. Okay, so I've plotted by 3 points, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw some lines from WX and from X to Y, okay? So now, when you do this, you're trying to find the slope of these two lines and go from Y to find your fourth point, okay? So I want you guys to watch me here. So I'm going to go from X to Y, 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 left. So if I do that, I'm going to do the same thing from W. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 left. Oh, I went 4, sorry, 3. So that's right there. That's where I think Z is, and I'm going to verify that by using the other line as well, okay? So up here, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from X to W. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3 left, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. So I'm going to do the same thing from Y. 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. So we verified Z 2 different ways. So our Z is going to be at -2, -2. So once again, plot your points with number 9, WX, Y, and then we'll see if you guys can find Z, okay? So here we go again, WX and X to Y, okay? So once again, I'm either going to use X to Y or X to W. So let's go ahead and do X to W first this time. So to go from X to W, I'm going up 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to do the same thing from Y. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's where I think Z is. So let's verify it again with now Y, X to Y. So if I do this, I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3 left. So I'm going to do the same thing from W. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So what am I really using here? I'm using the slope, aren't I, guys? So I got the same point for Z again. I like this because I can verify that I got the correct point by using the other line and the slope of the other line. So Z here is -6, -1. All right, so the next one says, assume that the lines that look vertical are vertical and the lines that look horizontal are horizontal. In the triangles below, what statement about the lines can be made about parallel and perpendicular lines? So we're going to start with AB right here, okay? And we're going to talk about parallel. So AB is parallel to what other lines? Isn't it parallel with EF right here? Because it's also a vertical line. And what else is it parallel with? NM. And these are all parallel with one another. So that was NM. And then also right here, SR. So all of those lines, you could make a lot of individual statements about what's parallel to what here, okay? Then we've also got, if we notice, AC here. So I could also make some statements. AC is parallel to, right there, DF, right? And DF and AC are also parallel to NO. And NO is parallel to TS as well as the other two things, right? So any one of those statements would be true even individually, okay? So then it also asks us about perpendicular. So when we're talking about perpendicular, we're talking about right angles, aren't we, guys? These two right here. So I could say AB is perpendicular to AC, right? That's easy to see. But I could also say that AB is perpendicular to what else? Isn't it perpendicular to DF right there? Mm-hmm. And AB is also perpendicular with NO. And also AB is perpendicular with what else? TS. Y'all see that? Now there's a whole lot of perpendicular statements that I could make about this. So what I need you guys to understand is when you take the quiz on Monday, or whenever y'all take it, probably Monday, that you're looking for true statements and false statements, okay? So you're going to need to look at the diagram and verify the statements. That's how you're going to approach this problem, okay? All right, this next one says your friend and you want to meet at the park to play basketball. You live directly south of the park, below the park, south of the park, and your friend lives directly left of the park. If your friend has to drive 8 miles to the park and you live 17 miles apart from your friend on a straight path, what distance would you have to drive to the park? So we're going to draw this as it reads, okay? So first of all, it's talking about us going to the park, right? So we're going to the park. Actually, let me draw the park. Park up here, right? So there's our park. And we're just going to assume we're going to the center of it, okay? It says that your friend lives, that I live basically south, right? South of the park, right? So this is me, okay? And my friend lives where? West. So that means I'm going left, okay? So this is my friend. So when you do a problem like this, y'all should read, draw. It says, if your friend has to drive 8 miles to the park. So my friend is going 8 miles to the park. Y'all see that? And you live 17 miles from your friend, okay? So there's my 17. It says, what distance would you have to drive to the park? So it's actually asking us to find this right here, right? So what kind of triangle did I just draw, y'all? Yep, a right triangle, right? So what theorem do we use with right triangles? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And what is always C? C is always opposite the right angle. So that's our 17, right? And it doesn't really matter whether the 8 or the X is A or B. So we're going to make the 8 the A, and we're going to make the X the B. Okay, so what is 8 squared? 64. Plus our X squared, and 17 squared is 289. Then aren't we going to subtract our 64 from both sides? We are. So that's going to be, let's see if I can get us some more space here. That's now gone, and we have X squared equals 225. And then what do we do to get rid of an X squared? Exactly, we take the square root. Now, normally we put a plus or minus in front of a square root, but we're not doing that here because there's no such thing as a negative distance, okay? So when we take that square root, we get that X is equal to 15. So we are 15 miles from the park, okay? All right, our last problem here says solve for X. So I had some students do this a couple different ways, so I'm going to do them both ways. So I could divide by 36 here, right? When I do that, I get X squared equals 121. Now here, we're going to take the square root, right, of both sides. Now remember, you got to put a plus or minus over there, okay, in front of that square root. And that's because both 11 squared and negative 11 squared is 121. So our answer here is X is equal to plus or minus 11. Now I did have some students approach this a different way, so I'm going to show you guys that too. 36X squared equals 4356. So I had some of my students actually take the square root here and the square root there. So they noticed that this is 6x. And when they took the square root of 4356, now remember, you still got to put a plus or minus over here, okay? So this is still going to be plus or minus 66, right? And then you're going to divide again by 6 here. So x is going to be equal to plus or minus 66 divided by 11 is actually, or divided by 6 is 11. So either way, you get the same answer.